Good evening, everybody. My name is Taylor Chandler, and
I am Becky Sumner.
And we are counselors in the Harrisonville School District, excited to present a presentation on social emotional wellness and how we do that across the Harrisonville School District. So jumping right out from the gate here, I want to introduce you to the rest of the counseling and mental health team that we have here in Harrisonville. At ECC and HES with our youngest learners, of course, is Becky Sumner.
That's me.
At HES, working with our second and third graders, or first and second and third graders.
Yep, he does Mr. Graber does all the grades and helps us out all around the building, but teaches in second and third grade classrooms.
Gotcha, and his name is Brian Graber. And then I'm at McEowen with the fourth and fifth graders. At HMS, the middle school, we have Samantha Cates and Susan Harness. And at the high school, again, we also have Samantha Cates, as well as Julie Zering and Carrie Bliss. Another awesome thing that we have through the school district is networking with Compass Health, and they provide school-based therapy services. And we have two counselors, actually licensed therapists, that work on the property in the district, and their names are Megan Guerrero, and she works with our elementary and middle school, and then we have Sarah Kurska, who works with the high school population. Overseeing the entire district, we have one social worker, and her name is Jennifer Beavers. And we just want to take time to thank you for joining us this evening as we dive into what social emotional learning and wellness looks like across the Harrisonville School District.
So I'm here because social emotional learning starts even before our students get to the Harrisonville Early Childhood Center. Social emotional learning happens starting from birth. You interact with people around you. You see how they handle emotional situations. You see how they work together to solve problems. And so from the earliest the child is born, we are teaching and we are learning. And then when they get here to the Early Childhood Center, we keep growing on that. We keep teaching and learning together. I wanted to share a little bit about the Castle 5. These are 5 different areas. They're all related that we work on here at school, but also families work on as well. Self-awareness, that is understanding your own emotions, thoughts and values and how they influence your behaviors. Self-management, so knowing how to manage one's own emotions, thoughts and behaviors, kind of being in control of ourselves to achieve different goals. Social awareness is understanding that we're not alone in this world. We're tied together with everybody else, not only in our community, but in our world. Working together can be difficult when you don't always agree on things. Working on relationship skills. Again, we don't all see the same things from the same perspective. We don't all have the same emotions. And so how do we work together? And then responsible decision making, making caring and constructive choices, doing what's best for you, but also what helps other people. And so those are the Castle 5 different areas that we kind of work together on. I wanted to share a little bit about how families can help strengthen these social emotional skills, these areas from the Castle 5. So for self-awareness, looking at your own emotions and values and how they influence your behavior. When you're watching TV or watching a video or reading a book together, you can actually talk with each other about the characters in a story. Oh, I wonder why he did that. I wonder why she felt like that. What is that feeling? Talking and learning about your own emotions can really help your child talk and learn about theirs. All feelings are okay, and this is a huge thing that I talk about with my early childhood learners and early elementary students as well. As it's okay to have any feeling. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset. But it's not okay to hurt somebody or hurt something. And so you have to take your emotions and you have to figure out how to do something with them so that you can be productive and you can get through them. So really learning about that for yourselves and helping your child learn about that is a really important part of growing up. Self-management, talking about, if you mess up, what do? Talking to your child about that. Also modeling that. Everybody makes mistakes. And so giving yourself some grace if you make mistakes is important. Also noticing when your child handles a strong emotion, like they get really upset because something did not go their way. This is true across all ages. Everybody gets upset when things don't go their way. Noticing that and telling them, hey, I saw you do this and that was really, really great. That helps them grow, and that helps build your relationship too.
Yeah.
Relationships are a huge part of social emotional learning.
Yes, and how we interact with others and grow up to be, citizens that can work together.
Mm-hmm. Social awareness is the next part that I broke down here. Social awareness is everywhere. I mean, it's in movies, talking with your child about their friends or peers in their classes, experiences that you have together as a family or that they have on their own, and then you come back and share together. I think it's really important to not use the word weird too much. People can be different than you, but that's not weird. It's just different. It's different. It's different than you. And so starting that at an early age, thinking about empathy together. How does another person feel? Why might they feel that way? What could they be thinking? And then how can we show them that we care too? Caring about people.
That's great.
All day, every day. Families can strengthen social and emotional skills by just building the relationship that you have within your family. Practice being kind to each other. Like we talked about a little bit ago, everybody makes mistakes sometimes. Everybody gets tired sometimes and says something that they don't mean. And so building relationships is being kind, and if you mess up is apologizing or trying to fix a mistake that you made. And building each other up. I mean, when you have a hard day, you don't want to go home and get yelled at, and when you have a hard day, sometimes you just need a minute. Take a break, have a snack together, just talk or watch a video and laugh. And that can really help build relationships too. Family traditions are important too. Maybe you get pizza on Friday nights. Maybe you go to Casey's and get a soda or something fun. Finding fun things to do together helps build those social emotional skills. Yeah,
and doing those things together at a regular time helps build up that routine too. That helps keep us regulated and on a schedule.
Yeah, and even if it's watching a funny video together, or sharing something that makes you laugh, it helps kids grow. So. The last of the Castle 5 that I want to talk about is responsible decision making. And so we all have that feeling sometimes of, I don't want to do whatever. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to pay this bill. But by doing those things or finding a way to do it, even if it's hard, we're modeling for kids that this is what we do. We live in a community, and we can find ways to contribute and just be a part of it.
All right, so switching gears a little bit, we just wanted to briefly touch on how we as school counselors and other mental health professionals in schools, how do we get our guidance from, or where do we look to know what we're supposed to be doing in schools and what's going to benefit kids the most? And that is through the Missouri Comprehensive School Counseling Model. That was developed several years ago and actually piloted here in, of course, the state of Missouri, but it's been something that has actually exploded across the United States, and now the national model, called the ASCA model, has actually adopted and was started through the framework that was developed here in Missouri. It consists of multiple components that have been broken down based off of research between proactive strategies and responsive services is what they call it, in order for us to best know how to spend our time that's going to make the biggest positive impact on the lives of students. And so what I think you're going to see here on the screen real quick is just an example of, for instance, this is a part of the model, which is our curriculum. And how we dive into what we're supposed to know when it comes to those skills, strategies, and things of that nature that we believe students need to know in order to be responsible and positive citizens in their community. And again, each grade level has their own set of curriculum standards, just like in any other subject that you would find in school, and we'd encourage you to reach out and do your own research and look at those in depth if you have questions or are interested in learning more about that.
Yeah, because we love talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
We
Feel free to
love
call
talking
any of
about
us
it.
too.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about our curriculum, because in the early elementary, that's pretty much the biggest thing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
We do have responsive services. We do meet with individuals and in small groups, but every week we're in classrooms and we're teaching based on that Missouri Comprehensive Guidance, the school counseling program. And our biggest skills, and we use a curriculum called Second Step to do that. We teach students skills that help them be learners, like listening and focusing and talking to themselves in their brains, to stay on task, using empathy or understanding how other people feel, managing their own emotions, and then taking all of that and putting it together to solve problems with each other. So those are skills that we teach in classrooms, and in early elementary, ECC and HES, we're in the classroom every week. Research shows that students who can recognize emotions, strong emotions, and then calm down are coping better and are less prone to aggressive behaviors. So if you're not feeling so on edge, you're not feeling so aggressive, you're better able to pay attention and focus, not only in the classroom, but also with peers as well, to develop better relationships with peers.
Yeah, because when you're regulated, you can learn better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, big
Exactly.
time.
When you feel calm, then you can be okay. You can handle whatever comes at you.
Yeah, and your brain is most ready to absorb and take in new information and think about the ways that it can apply to their own life, rather than, having to sit there, and just not be able to regulate or cope in the moment.
And so that's actually one of the things that we start in the very beginning, teaching kids about how our brains work. Our brains have three really important parts that we talk about. We've got our amygdala, where your emotions live, your fight, flight, or freeze response. If you something comes up and you don't know how to handle it, your amygdala says, ah. And we do that. We teach them that. Your amygdala is the part where your feelings live. That's what we say in early elementary. And then if you fold over the top of your hand, this is your prefrontal cortex. This is a thinking part of your brain that helps you solve problems. We start by teaching kids about their brain, because when you can figure out how to get your body to be calm by deep breathing or different strategies we do talk about as well, then you can be in charge of your feelings instead of letting them be in charge of you.
Yeah.
Instead of running away or just freezing or getting angry, you can find a way to handle it. And so that's a big part of our curriculum to start us in skills for learning. Not only learning school stuff, but also learning how to be in charge of yourself. We also talk a lot about emotions, identifying clues in other people to figure out how they feel, both in their face or the words that they say. And we do that through many different activities, including centers and conversations and reading books. And then we talk about our own emotions as well. We use a thermometer or a 5 scale to talk about how big is our emotion. Is it really big? Am I in control of my body? Am I feeling okay or not so much? And use songs to help remember strategies to calm down. Take a breath and calm down. Name your feeling, take a breath, and calm down.
Yes.
Those are the 3 things that we... Second Steps really helps us also with problem solving. Figuring out if something is a big deal or a little deal. Is this an emergency? Do I need a grown-up to help, an adult to help? Or can I try something to get through it? Like if someone takes your pencil. Little problem. But when you're a little person, little problems can feel really big. And so, you could ask them for it back or find a different one. But we have to talk through, and we have to teach and learn those strategies together and practice.
Yeah, because those are things that they're going to use the rest of their life to be able to handle, because by the time they get to, the student population that I work with in 5th grade or even in middle school, I know that, the ones that are missing those skills, are already having a tough time. And so that's why it's super important that they, have an opportunity to practice these skills, especially in school, if they're not getting a chance to practice it a whole lot outside of school.
Yeah. One of the other cool things that we do as counselors is we have a focus on, from the early elementary grades, career awareness, about knowing about all the different workers in our community and all the different types of work that need to be done, and then connecting those to the interests that children have. And so if they really like building, kind of helping them know, oh, well, there's workers in our community who are builders, and you can take those things that you love to do when you're small, and you can grow and you can learn, and maybe one day you can do that in our community as well. And so we have a lot of fun talking about different workers. We do a career day at HES where we listen to different speakers and parents and community members talk about their jobs, and help kids kind of dream big.
All right, so moving on up the grade levels to talk more about specifically counseling curriculum in other buildings. In 4th and 5th grade at McEowen, these are kind of along the same lines with the second step curriculum. These are the lessons that I really try to point out and make time for in the building with my time with students. They're up on the screen there. As far as focusing again on healthy relationships, building up empathy for others. A big one, especially as they are getting set up for middle school, is setting boundaries and understanding friends, positive relationships, that sort of thing. And then kind of what Becky was saying earlier about, definitely about what Becky was saying about learning the brain and the hand-brain model. Again, we reinforce that, especially in 4th grade. Learning about how the brain works and processes overwhelming feelings, because just like she said, when you can put words to exactly what's going on in your head and in the rest of your body, that's how we know that you are staying in the thinking part of your brain, that prefrontal cortex, rather than in your amygdala. That's all reaction and no control. So getting them to use their words helps them stay regulated, and that's something that I would definitely recommend to parents if you're ever in a situation where things are starting to escalate. Other things include, again, problem solving, and kind of what Becky ended on related to careers. This is something that we spend a good chunk of time on in 5th grade. Where we talk about how we can begin to explore different career paths through things like taking surveys, and then as well as being able to, what I do is introduce them to resources online where they can learn more about jobs, like the Bureau of Labor Statistics and things like that. So, we're not trying to hammer down, what they're going to do for the rest of their life, when they're 10 and 11 years old. But I definitely want to start to give them the tools to be able to explore the world of work and what a career looks like.
I'm thinking about choices that they have, so you don't just have to be one thing.
Exactly.
You don't have to decide right now.
Yeah, that reminds me of a study I just read that said, as recently as last year, millennials and younger, Gen Z and all those types of people, generations will have up to 10 jobs in 10 years before they decide on a single career path. And I know I'm definitely one of those statistics, whether I should be sharing that or not. And then let's go ahead and move on to middle school lessons. Again, I had the help of the middle school counselor, Ms. Cates, and she also works at the high school, kind of helped me collaborate on this list. And so those are on the screen right now. I had the opportunity to go and visit and observe them giving some of these lessons to 6th graders just a couple months ago, and it was really exciting to see them, getting into the classrooms and again furthering the cause of helping students understand themselves and what positive relationships look like, and giving students an opportunity to practice that. Because the reality is there's a lot of students here in Harrisonville, children that just don't get that opportunity. And so giving it to them in school, even by the time they're in middle school, I think is so important for them to see that and be given a space to practice those skills.
What's interesting too is that I have students as young as kindergarten, asking, do you ever get angry? And then asking me how I handle that. And it's really kind of enlightening. It's like, oh, I do. and here's how I do it. So providing that, a different perspective, a new perspective.
Yeah.
And just talking to kids about that.
Yeah, and I think that reinforces, kind of the modeling that we do as adults every single day, whether you're with them at home or we're with them here at school, and making sure that we do our part to, make sure we represent that. And then moving along to the opportunities related to proactive and responsive services offered at the high school. We know that they have an intervention team that meets regularly to discuss how to support students, as well as there's time during their advisory where they really get an opportunity. Every high school student gets an opportunity to not only build a relationship with one teacher for all 4 years throughout their high school experience, but also dive into lessons and different situations that are, real world social emotion, dealing with social emotional problem solving sort of things, and giving them the space to have those real discussions and things of that nature. And so finally, one of the more recent relationships that we've started with another organization in the community is with Compass Health Network, and being able to provide more comprehensive mental health services in the school. And we do that by partnering again with Compass Health and actually being able to house licensed professional therapists right here on school property. And they are, again, licensed professionals, and they, do everything that you would expect them to do if you were to visit a therapist or start therapy services in the office. And it's a really great resource that we have now to offer students who may not otherwise be able to receive that support and those resources outside of school. If you'd like to know more about how Compass Health Network works and how it is implemented here in the Harrisonville School District, I'd encourage you to reach out to one of us or either of the school-based therapists. Again, at the high school, that's Sarah Kurska, or at the middle school and the elementary level, that is Megan Guerrero. And finally, for you, we just want to share again some tips that again will help instill and further the value of social emotional wellness in your own home. And we've kind of broken it down from, the most easy and basic things. Many of these, between easy, medium, and difficult, I'm sure a lot of you already do, but I feel like this is a good reminder of little things that you can begin to do at home that can make a big difference, right? A positive impact in the mental health of your students.
Little things like giving a compliment, and not just about how somebody looks, but also if you saw your child working hard on something, or you saw your child try something and fail, but keep going, a little thing like a compliment. I noticed that you worked really hard on that. Wow, I can tell you really care. Those are things that help build that relationship. Noticing when your child is kind, noticing when people in your home are kind, and talking about it.
Yeah.
Everybody makes mistakes, admitting when you were wrong or messed up, and apologizing and finding a way to work through that. We say that's easy, but it's not always easy.
Right. I was going to say that one could go in any of the categories.
Modeling conversation, just having conversations, whether that's in the car or at the table, talking with each other, but also talking between adults and showing children what that looks like.
Yes.
And then coping when things are hard. What do you do to try to be okay and to get through it and to move on?
Yeah. And then we'll move on to the more moderate. I kind of put them in the moderate range because I feel like they are a little bit more time consuming. These are the ones that, you might have to just be a little bit more cognizant or proactive in doing. And that first one, again, not too much effort, but things such as playing a board game, right? And having your child experience what it's like, to win and lose, because that does bring up big emotions. Do they have practice processing those, coping, all that good stuff? The next one is simply taking a walk, right? Again, going back to that physical, mental health connection, right? Taking a walk and getting into a routine of sharing some type of exercise can be huge in your own mental health and your families, as well as scheduling other activities, whether that is, again, for for your child to experience, greater peer interaction through sports or something like that, or scheduling activities for you to do as a family. They're both super important to, again, that healthy social emotional development. Reading a book together is huge, whether you guys want to take turns reading chapters or even pages or something like that, or for the older students, right, reading a book separately, but then making time to talk about it. So maybe asking your child what they're reading in school, you read it too, and then after you're both finished reading it, just setting aside some time to go grab a meal or a drink and talking about that book. That would be huge. Another moderate but healthy thing that is going to help everyone, especially social and emotional developmentally, is checking their device history. I know this one might be part of the difficult column at times, but they're students, they're children, right? You are responsible for making sure that they are safe everywhere that they go, and that includes where their eyes go online. And then talking to them about their future goals, right? Making, again, you're not trying to figure out what your elementary child wants to do when they grow up, but you can start to help them, imagine and become creative, and giving them the space to develop those skills and those interests.
And can I just add, with elementary kids especially too, it's playing and it's noticing what your child is playing, especially early elementary, and just sometimes getting down and playing with them, and helping their imaginations grow, and just like learning from them, because kids are awesome.
Yes, that was a great point. And then finally, again, this could be easy, moderate, or difficult, and that is making sure that your child is taking their medications as directed. And sometimes that means allowing the school nurse to administer those, which we don't have a problem with, and we invite if that's something that you'd like to take advantage of. And then finally, in the difficult column,
being okay, even if you don't agree with somebody, is a huge thing. Yeah. Being able to maintain your composure if you are having a disagreement with another adult in front of a child is big. And part of that is knowing what you are okay with, setting boundaries, and knowing what you are okay with, and then being consistent on that.
Yeah, big time.
Trying new things, not only for the child in your life, but also for you, trying new things and being okay with not always getting it right.
Yeah. Showing them how you approach it as well as how you cope with it, the ups and the downs.
And asking for help is really hard, not only for kids, but also for adults.
Big time.
We like to pretend we can do everything on our own, but we can't always. And so giving yourself, parents and family members, giving yourself some grace and accountability can be hard, but is important for helping your kids grow in their social emotional learning.
Yeah.
And to add anything?
No.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. If you have any questions or comments or ideas, please reach out to us. We are happy to follow up with you.
Appreciate your time tonight, and have a good one.
Thank you.